Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Express, which is becoming everyone's favorite talk show. It is profoundly real and interesting, so without any further delay, please help me welcome back to the stage the beautiful and expressive director of Express, Carolyn. Carolyn, take it away.
Welcome to Express, your host, Carolyn. It only seemed like a few hours ago that we were together. Now, I'm going to ask you to like, share, and subscribe so that you can be inundated with the contents of our show. For those who have been with us all along, we thank you. We really appreciate you following us and for being blessed by these stories. For those who maybe just stopped by accident or so, don't go anywhere. Just stay because you're going to be blessed today with our story. Our guest today, her name is Veronica Liburd. She was born in a beautiful island on the beautiful island of Antigua, West Indies, to Christiana and the late Calvin Jackson. She is the first of five children, and she received her elementary and high school education on the island of Antigua. At the age of 19, Veronica migrated to the United States and lived in New York for over 40 years. Veronica attended Oakwood University and she's received a bachelor's science degree in business administration, followed by a career in business for over 7 years in New York City business sector. Due to the uncertainty and the instability of the economy during the early 90s, Veronica had a change in career and she received a nursing degree from Andrews University. She served the states of Michigan and New York as a registered nurse and retired from her nursing career 4 years ago. Veronica is married to Pastor Earl Liburd for the past 34 years, and they have served together in the Northeastern Conference SDA and have now retired and lived in the state of Georgia. Today, Veronica is a full time entrepreneur, a passion she has had from early childhood. She provides education, support, encouragement, and a vital on health and financial independence. Without further ado, let us welcome Mrs. Veronica Liburd. What's going on? We're both in
Thank you.
blue.
I see that. I see that.
Well, that says something. We're on one accord already.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome, and thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
coming. I
much.
know you're very busy, but thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Now, you know why you're here to tell your story. I'll guide you along. In the bio, it stated where you're from, and it gave most of, the basic information. Now, I wanted to ask you when you went to let's just like go through like being in Jamaica. What was life like in Jamaica growing up?
It's actually Antigua, not Jamaica.
Antigua. And you see, I am trying, listen, and this is true. I am trying my best to have a variety of people from different places, but the Jamaicans, they always say yes. But that's my goal to have every different race, age, from wherever to be on this show. So, yes, you're from Antigua.
Yes.
So, tell me what was life like? What was growing up like in Antigua?
Well, for the first 5 years, like I mentioned earlier, well, in my bio, I'm the first of
Yes,
five children.
yes.
And my father died very suddenly before my sixth birthday. So the early stages of my life was very challenging because my father, he was not sick or anything. He just went to sleep and just never woke up. And so my mother was left. with, at the time, 4 children to care for. She had never worked a day in her life. She was a stay-at-home mom. So it was very
Mhm.
challenging growing up. But she has done remarkably well as a single mom. She worked really hard and gave us the best of what she had. And I think we've done pretty good with what my mom has given us.
Mm.
So yeah, I was raised in a single family home because my dad died very early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about your other siblings?
Siblings. Yeah, I have three brothers that followed me. Two of them are here in the United States, and my youngest brother lives in Antigua. And I have one sister, which she's the last child. She also lives in Antigua. So I have two siblings in Antigua and two siblings here.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. You keep in touch, right?
Yes, all the time.
All
I
the
still
time.
one up to today.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good. That's what about family life.
for
All
sure.
right. And then you mentioned that you came to United States of America. Why, what motivated you to come here?
Here, I think I always had a passion or a desire for more. And after high school, I had a job for a very short time, a few months, but I felt the need to do more. If the truth be told, I felt like I wanted to be a model. Now
Okay.
that I'm thinking about it, it's very
Yeah.
funny. But I wanted to be a model at the time. I was a teenager then, and I wanted to come to America because it seems as if America was where all the good things were happening.
Happening. Yeah.
And so I came here early, and I did go to modeling school,
Okay.
graduated, but in the actually just before graduation, God took a hold of my life, and
Wow.
I became a Christian. I turned my life over to God, and
Mhm.
so I could not pursue a career in modeling anymore. Then from there, I went to college and studied business.
Mm.
So, but I was motivated to come to the United States because I felt, I guess, not having a father and my mom struggling,
Mm.
I just did not want to live a life of struggle. So I felt if I was exposed to more, I could become more.
More.
So
And you
there's
could
this,
help her more.
yes, there was always this drive, you know, to
Mhm.
do more.
Okay.
So
And then you went to, so you went to modeling school. So when did you go to Oakwood?
I went to Oakwood the in 81, in
Mm.
81, and graduated in 84. Yeah.
Okay, so 81, 84. Before we got to 81, 84, anything before that time that you want to tell us about that maybe was challenging for you or even happy time, exceptional, that is. If not, then we just keep moving on.
Not specifically. When I came, I struggled like everyone else. My
Mhm.
first job was in a restaurant. And
Okay.
I had struggles with my accent. People would laugh at me because, I had a very Caribbean accent.
Yes.
And I remember specifically, it stands out in my mind when they were asking what's on the menu. And I remember saying vegetable soup because that's how we said it back then.
Yes.
And the person kept asking, what did you say? I said vegetable soup. And I kept emphasizing vegetable soup. And like, what? And he started to laugh. And then he said, you mean vegetable soup? So yeah, that was, the early beginnings of getting used to a different culture. And yeah, so and then from there, I worked as a bookkeeper. I've always been good at math in school. And so I worked as a bookkeeper for a little bit, probably about a month or so, a few months. And then I transitioned to Oakwood. So
Mhm.
that was my early beginnings. Nothing in particular that I could think of right now.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good because you told us that you worked in a restaurant.
yeah.
Yes, you worked your way up to where
Yeah.
you are. And I always admire this about you. You always have such energy, and it's always positive. I love that
Thank you.
about you. I
Thank you so
love that. I mean,
much.
I really, really do. I don't see you every day as in person, but when I do see you or read about you, it's always something positive, and I love that.
Thank you.
And that's what makes the world go around. We just have to be positive because you don't know who's watching you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know, and what impression they're getting, and how their day is, and what you've made their day.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know.
Well, I
So
think it's just better being positive
yes,
because the
yes,
negative thoughts, it takes you down a different path.
yeah. But
And
not everyone understands that.
yeah,
You
takes you
know.
down a different path. So to me, being positive is just the best way.
Yeah.
In spite of the challenges, you have to think positive through them.
And really, it is easier. It is easier to be positive
Yeah.
than to be negative. Because when you like, even us talking now, don't you feel like it's just pumping you up, just being positive?
Yeah, for
So when
sure.
you're being negative, you just feel like you're a balloon and you're just like, "Ooh." But
Sucks
when
your
you be
energy.
positive, it's like,
Yeah. Gives
yeah,
you the motivation and the encouragement to keep pushing through, even
yeah,
when you're challenged. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to, when did you get married?
I got married in '89. After college, I came back to New York and I met my husband, and then we got married in '89, July of '89.
Okay,
So it was maybe about 5 years after graduation. Yeah.
okay,
So yeah.
okay. And did you meet at that school, or where did
No.
you meet?
We have a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was attending church in New York, in the Bronx. And this person from the Bronx as well was attending church, but sometimes he would go to New Jersey. And he connected with my husband and my husband's family. And when my husband, at the time, he had just gotten back into church because he was out there in the world and
Mm,
came back, had changed his life and told this particular friend that he was looking for a good woman to marry. And
oh,
so the guy hooked us up. And so that's how, yeah. So
okay,
we got together through a mutual friend.
okay.
Yeah.
Mm, that's interesting. I always like to hear those stories.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So then you got married, and then how long did know each other before you actually got married?
Not very long.
Okay. You just,
About a year. But my husband says
okay.
if you talk to him, he'll tell you 9 months. But
They never ever get the date right, do they? You
yeah,
ladies have to keep
we
a
dated for
score.
about a year. We
Okay.
dated for about a year.
That's
And
good.
we were older at that time. We were, I think, in our early 30s.
Hmm.
So it's not like we were kids.
Mm.
So yeah.
You
Yeah.
sort of knew what you want and
Right.
that sort of thing. All right. Now, um, starting a family. Tell us a little about that. Did you have children, or tell us about that?
No, when we eventually got married, I think I was about 33. My husband was 35.
Mm,
And we waited for about a year before we started to try to have children. And I conceived, and of course, I had a lot of complications during the pregnancy, lost a child. And so since then, we have not been able to have children. We have done in vitro fertilization, actually 2 cycles of in vitro, and still have not had any. So we just let it go. We just thought that it was not supposed to be. So we don't have any children of our own.
okay, I'm gonna stop for a minute because you have enough experience and you've recovered now. I mean, for someone who is going through what you have been through with losing your kids, and you have come to terms with it as much as you can, yes,
Yes.
yes. What would you advise someone who may be lying in their bed right now going through that? What would you say to them to encourage them?
For me, prayer helped.
Okay.
It was very challenging.
Mm,
Lots of crying. I remember when I was pregnant, and looking forward to at the time my sister-in-law was pregnant as well, and
mhm.
so we were comparing the growth of the child and going through. I remember reading what to expect when you're expecting
Yes,
and
yes.
looking through the different
The
stages,
disorders, yeah.
and so you're looking forward to that, and then voila, you don't have the child. And of course, my sister-in-law had hers.
Mm.
And it was just always, I was happy for her.
Yes.
Also, there was a sense of
Sadness.
sadness for me because why couldn't that happen to me too?
Mm.
Every time there was a baby shower, I would cry. I would
Mm.
go, but again, it would bring me back. So it was very difficult.
Mm.
I prayed and I fasted and I just went through the process just like anybody else would go through.
Mm.
But then there came a point where I had to let that go
Mm.
because holding on to it was holding me back. I mean, you couldn't go forward. If I don't have any children, then what? Life is over? Am I going to be sad for the rest of my life? So I had to let it go. It's not like I had done anything to prevent me from having children. I did everything that I felt I needed to do, yet
Right.
it didn't happen. And I prayed and it didn't happen. So I felt that it was in God's plan for me not
Not
to have
to have
children.
any.
And so I had to accept that.
Mm.
And so my advice to someone who's going through that, it's okay if you're not able to have any children. That's only, there's so much more that you have in life besides not having. I know as a woman, it's very important to
Mhm.
us, but if you don't, then let it go. There's so much more. You can minister to children. We've pastored many churches. And so, I embrace the children and I'm there for them, like a mother, like an auntie in my own family. My sister's children, my brother's children, I'm an auntie for them as well.
Mhm.
So at some point, we have to let it go. Now, I don't want to go ahead of you, but later on, I discovered why I didn't have children.
Okay,
And
so
it
let's
wasn't
talk about that now.
right. Let's talk about that.
Yes,
It
sure,
wasn't my
sure.
advantage because had I had children, I probably would have been dead. During the pregnancy, at the end of the pregnancy, when the pregnancy was aborted and everything, they discovered that I had a kidney problem. And so my body could not tolerate carrying a child for 9 months with my kidney issue. I didn't even know I had a kidney issue. It developed, I discovered it, I should say, at the
Mm.
end of the pregnancy.
Okay.
And so sometimes we question and we want certain things, but God, in His wisdom, says no, because I have a different plan for you or a better plan for you. And so we have to learn to trust, even though when we don't understand, and just let go. Because had I had that child,
You maybe wouldn't be alive
the
today.
child would have been without a mother. My husband would have been without a wife.
Mhm.
And,
We wouldn't be able to be having a conversation right now.
exactly. So that was not God's plan for me.
Mhm.
So I had to let it go.
Yeah.
So my advice, trust God
Mhm.
and pray through it. He'll give you peace. He will give you clarity if that's the plan that He has for you.
Mhm. So tell me more about the kidney problem.
After the pregnancy, they discovered that I had high protein in my urine and elevated blood pressure, fluid retention in my lower extremities. Now I had that during the pregnancy, and they diagnosed me with toxemia, early toxemia during the pregnancy, but it wasn't really. It was toxemia, but it was toxemia due to kidney issues.
Mhm.
Um, as time progressed, the kidney got worse, and after about 19 years, the kidney failed, and so I had to get a kidney transplant. So I am a recipient um, of somebody else's kidneys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So during all of that time when you were going through, you know, what happened to you there with the kidney, how did you cope?
I prayed a lot. I I I I don't want to use the word argue with God,
Mm-hmm.
but at the time I didn't understand, and I felt that I had done everything. I ate healthy, I exercise, I embrace the health message that I've learned through the years from my church, from school. And so I couldn't understand, like, God, why me? Why is this happening to me? So I had a lot of discussions with God, even
Mm.
though I didn't understand. And I got clarity, I got healing and peace. And I'm very, very happy to be alive.
Mm.
And I have no other, I shouldn't say I have no other choice, but I just choose to keep positive attitude through the whole process. Um, and
And
that's why I'm still here.
yes, yes, yes. And no doubt, because of your attitude, you're still here. You
Mhm.
know, because it's said that if you're happy, your bones won't go dry. That's from the Bible. I don't know exact word verse, but I know that it said there.
It says, a merry heart
But
do it good like a medicine.
yes,
Is that the one you're
yes,
referring to?
that's one,
Yes.
and then there's another one that's it. I should be able to take. Well, my husband's not listening. He said you should know that. Anyway, yes. So it's good to, despite everything, to have a pleasant countenance
Yeah.
and to be happy. And you've been back to work since, haven't you?
Yes.
Mm,
After the transplant, I did go back to work.
mhm.
I am a registered nurse, like you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and I've done a variety of things. Since the transplant, I have chosen not to go back to work in the hospitals
Okay.
because I felt with when you have a kidney transplant, your immune system is compromised because of the immunosuppressants that you have to take in order for your body to hold on to the kidney.
Right, right.
So I felt in the hospital that I was exposed to so many different things. So I chose not to work in a hospital setting
Mhm.
anymore. So I did, after the transplant, I did more, I did community nursing, and I also worked as a nurse educator. So I was working more with the staff, with nurses, as
Mhm.
opposed to working with the patients.
Patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us more about what you're doing now. You working from home or you working in? Tell us more about what you're doing
I
now,
am
if
working
you
from
want to.
home. Yeah. Yeah. I am working from home now. Like I mentioned in my bio, I've always had a passion for business.
Mhm.
I remember at the age of 7, just growing up with the kids in the neighborhood, I always had a shop of some sort, trying to sell something, even if it's rocks from the yard or something from the tree. But I always had that entrepreneur mindset where I was selling something. And then at the age of 17, my mom had a clothing store. I actually managed the store.
Mhm.
We used to shop from Puerto Rico. So I would go to Puerto Rico, buy the items, bring them back to Antigua, price them, and sell them to people in the community. So I've always had that. So now that I'm retired, you know, even while I was working, I always had something on the side that I was doing. But now that I'm retired full time, I I'm just all in into working my business. So health and wellness is a passion of mine, and so I provide more education. A lot of times, people don't know how to take care of themselves in terms of eating, in terms of exercising, and some of the laws of health that we take for granted. A lot of people don't know.
Mhm.
So educate them and then provide them with a resource or a vehicle to help them to earn additional money if they're at a place where they need to earn money. So that's what I do, health and wellness. I also have a travel business and some of the things that I do from
Yeah.
home.
Do you
Yeah,
want to leave your number and to tell us what you do? You could leave your number across so that whoever is listening want to call you. Did you want to do that?
sure. My phone number is 914-434-4191. I still have a New York number, even though I live in Georgia now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just repeat it so they get it.
914
Mhm.
434 4191.
Do you have a website?
Yes, but it's right now it's in we're
In
doing some repairs
process.
on it. Yes.
Okay.
So
All right. All right. That should do.
yeah,
How are you enjoying retirement?
I love it because I feel at this stage of my life, which sounds really crazy, I feel like it's the best time of my life. I feel there's a sense of freedom where I'm able to do the things that I really like, that I'm passionate about. So it's great. I love it.
You go on vacations. I saw you.
Yeah, I do. Well, you have to take time out
Yes.
to relax, and yeah,
You and your husband, yes?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yes.
he just had a birthday, so we actually went on a cruise to celebrate his birthday. Yeah.
Yes. 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 All right. So, anything else here that you'd like to tell us before you go? Any form of encouragement? Any words of, encouragement? Anything like that you'd like to mention
Yeah.
before you go?
Yeah. One of the things I want to mention is that what has kept me through the challenges is
Right.
the Word of God.
Okay.
Um, there's a scripture in Romans 8:28 that says, "All things work together for good to those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose." And so, when I'm going through challenges, even when it's not wanted, it's not expected, sometimes it's overwhelming. I hold on to the Word of God because that He says all things will work for your good. And so sometimes I will pray, Lord, I don't see the good, but I'm walking on your word and I know the good will show up.
Mhm.
So, my encouragement to anyone who might be going through challenges, hold on to the word of God because it's going to work for your good, whatever it is that you're going through. Another thing I want to share is that give everything a good story.
Mm.
Sometimes things are happening, it doesn't make any sense, and we entertain all the negative thoughts surrounding it. I had a conversation with a family member today, and she was talking about another family member and the way she responds to a text. Sometimes she doesn't call back, and she's giving all of that a negative story. And I had to say to her, the person could be sick.
Mm.
Maybe they're grieving. Maybe they're going through a challenge that you don't understand. Why not give it a good story until you have something else to go on?
That's a good way to
Give
think about it.
things a good, always give it a good story.
Mm.
And the last thing I want to share is be intentional about becoming a better you,
Mm.
better mindset, a better body. Be intentional every day of becoming a better whoever it is that God has created you to be. And
Wow.
that's what I'd like to share.
This is beautiful. And that's where we're going to end. Good place to end. Thank you so much for coming.
You're
I
welcome.
really, really
Having
appreciate
me.
you. And thanks for your story. And I'm sure others looking on we have been motivated. And, you know, um, whatever they're going through, they will hear your story and know just keep going on. Just keep going. Get up, brush up yourself, and keep going.
Yes.
Thank you know so much for stopping by.
You're
Until
welcome. Thank you.
bye
Appreciate
bye
you.
now.
Alrighty. Bye
Appreciate
bye.
you there. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.
Yes, that was Veronica. Beautiful story. Great courage. Very positive. I really love her for that. I admire her all the time. And if she don't tell you what she's going through, you would never know. Listen to this thought I'm going to leave. It is said, just because a person smiles all the time doesn't mean their life is perfect. That smile is a symbol of hope and strength. Smile more. Even though you're going through a rough time, try and smile more and notice the difference it will make, how you'll feel when you smile, even though there's nothing to smile about. Try it. Maybe you can call me and let me know how you felt. Right? So I'm saying goodbye. But before I say goodbye, don't forget to touch that button, like, share, and subscribe so you can be inundated, so you can be notified of all the stories through our episodes each day and each week. Until then, see you. This is Carolyn saying bye bye from Express.